Pointillists and impressionists, anoint your brush with cadmium red. Ask yourself, do I really need 2 ears? And give the drug-addled college students wandering in off the Van Breelestraat something to look at.
Because it's time to talk Tull to me. Is that a thing? Is that like a road?
That's one of the main roads in Amsterdam, Nick, where all the art museums are. Yes.
No wonder it was difficult for you to pronounce.
Yes. Welcome back, everyone. I am Owen Sade.
And I am Nick McGill.
Together, we form a beautiful image called Feckless Momes.
And this, in the reflection of said image, is Talk Tull to Me.
A lazy Sunday stroll through the government-subsidized art museum in Tull Town. Nick and I, barrettes set rakishly on our heads and sketch pads tucked listlessly under our arms, will stroll with you through the Bauhaus bunker, cross the Palmer Promenade, stop for tea at the Crossfire Cafe, and eventually suggest that we go back to our studio apartment for coffee. Yes, every painting an album, every brushstroke a song, Nick and I will discuss the finer points of the work of the great flute futurist himself, Ian Anderson.
You have a barrette on your head. I have a barrette. I just have my hair up.
Yes, and Ian has a beret.
Yes. Yes, he does.
Nick, do you like art?
I don't go out of my way to experience art. But
Your wife is literally a visual artist.
She is. RavenMcGill.com for those of you who would like to check out her things.
It's amazing.
It's lovely. It's very beautiful. Her a lot of her art speaks to me, and then some of it is just like, okay. And it's hard to find that balance.
Sure.
Because I am as you all know at this point, to a fault, I am unabashedly honest. And when I'm like excited for a piece of her art, I very, very eagerly show it. But then when I'm nonplussed, I also eagerly show my nonplussion.
Yeah, I hear that.
But yeah, I mean, I appreciate art, I think.
Yeah. Well, Nick, we have, speaking of art, a lot to discuss today.
We do. Today is pretty hefty. Aside from the fact that we are on the final song off of the album proper of Minstrel in the Gallery.
We are also on the final episode of Talk Tull to Me 2020.
That's right. This wraps up our 2-year run so far. We've been on for 2 years, Omen.
It feels like 200.
So long.
And therefore, we have a lot of catching up to do, a lot of loose ends to tie up, and maybe something exciting and new.
I think there may be. I think that there may be. And we are recording this the day after the American Thanksgiving. Ooh,
yes.
A little whistle on that one. The day after the American Thanksgiving. And as such, I feel, and also it helps that this song is so short that we can fit this in here. As such, I want to show our appreciation and our love for our fans.
Indeed.
We appreciate your reaching out to us and you're listening to us. And just yesterday, I had 2 separate fans reach out to me on Instagram and express their love for the podcast.
I think I see those notes coming in right now.
Here we go.
Yep.
Marley.
I gave your notes to you on the back of the turkey fat.
Carved right in there? Not even in the skin?
I saved it for me potions.
Oh, I'm curious. You know what? I'm too afraid to actually learn what those.
I'm always watching you when you're sleeping.
I don't know.
I mean, she works for you over there, so I don't know how she's watching me, but I am terrified.
We would have fired her, but she's grandfathered in.
She is. She cannot.
She's got tenure.
Oh man. It's so hard. It's so hard to get rid of them.
I know. And we would never want to, isn't that right?
Wait, was that to me?
I I know when you're lying.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. Just hand over the papers and we'll get on with it.
Thank you, Mary. We appreciate it. Omen, why don't we start this fan appreciation with a little bit of a tweet.
Tweet, 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 tweet. See you in the morning.
Yes, Alan Begg, our second favorite Scotsman, writes, or rather tweets, at Omensaid, I'm not sure if this is relevant or not, but the unicorn is the national animal of Scotland.
Oh, that's right.
Unicorn emoji, hashtag cold wind to Valhalla, hashtag talk Tull to me. Thank you, Alan. I had forgotten that. Yeah, so maybe that is part of Ian's inspiration in putting the phrase on an outsized unicorn into cold wind through Valhalla.
On an outsized unicorn.
Just a little Scotch pride there, I guess.
Love that. Thank you so much, Alan. You know, Nick, actually, every one of the countries in the British Isles has an amazing animal as its symbol. You know, England has the lion, Scotland has the unicorn, Wales has the dragon, and Ireland has a harp.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Really would have preferred Wales having whales.
Of course you would.
and Wales has whales.
Yes.
Yeah, Ireland, come on now. Your national animal is the harp.
Yes.
Not the harpy.
Nope.
The harp.
A delicious harp. Nick, what is next?
Next, we're going to get into one of the Instagrams from a fan who was following us at Feckless Momes.
Indeed.
He sent on over a beautiful video of some choreographed dancing done to Bourée.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. Very, very nice. I thanked him for sharing. And he said Minstrel era Ian would have blown a gasket.
Oh, because it's ballerinas.
Because it's ballet, yeah. And I said, I think it's more modern, actually, than ballet, but who am I to judge? And then I said, I wonder how many times he's seen dance put to Bourée. Like, at this point, after 50, 60 years, how many times has he seen people using this piece for dance? He must be thrilled. He built himself the perfect fetish, basically.
A fetish vehicle?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Maybe he's bored of it now.
He might be at this point. He likes cats and salmon.
Yeah.
And Indian food. He also says that he's been meaning to send us an email about being a 19-year-old diehard Tull skull. So I hope we get that soon. I definitely want to hear your jump start, and I encouraged his sending that. But in terms of dancing to Bourée, I'm sure you can find countless versions of that video on YouTube.
Yes.
Or even on Instagram, So that's it for the Instagram. We have one more Instagram, but that gets tied into our next segment. We're going to do 3 jump starts today. So this is from a username Nick as a Brick. Brilliant. Love it. He says, he messaged me a while back under his pseudonym of his business account at Creepworks. And he does great artwork. I think he's the one that did that Too Old to Rock and Roll sticker.
Yes.
Yeah, so at Creepworks, CREEPWERKS.
Beautiful work.
A beautiful work. Lovely art. It's art that I appreciate. At the time, back in September, I think, I'd only listened to Sea Lion 2. I wanted to listen to more, but I was in the middle of some very rigorous training that made most extracurricular activity stale and tainted. I can totally relate to that. Anyways, I'm back at listening in no particular order. I'm enjoying the commentary and I appreciate your humorous delivery. It feels like conversations I could have with my best friend. Maybe we should do a podcast and achieve massive success like you. Well,
hey, the more the merrier.
Exactly. I'm a lifelong Tull fan. I have very distinct memories from when I was 4 years old playing Aqualung on repeat from my mom's original Masters cassette. I called it the Dead Duck song. And now, 34 years later, I have a dog named Tull, and my firstborn is named Ian.
Oh.
I've had the good fortune to meet Ian Anderson on 3 separate occasions. The most recent time I brought my son Ian, and Shona scolded me for bringing my child to a concert when he should be home in bed.
That's amazing.
So fantastic. Thank you so much. Love those stories. That is greater dedication to Tull even than doing a podcast, I think.
Yeah, it is.
I can certainly appreciate that. Thank you for reaching out. Loving the jump start there. Omen, you've got 2 more, I believe, right?
Yes, indeed. We have one from Matthew D., who writes, "What a delight to have stumbled upon your podcast, TTTM. I was listening to some jazz flute music on Pandora Premium, and afterward your podcast came up as recommended listening." Oh, best $50 we ever slipped Pandora.
I think I remember, a little anecdote here. I think I remember one time a while ago, probably last year, during a recording session, I said to you, "Oh, hey, I finally got the podcasts onto Pandora." And you were like, "Pandora? Who? Okay, who listens to Pandora? Who cares?"
Well, apparently it's Matthew D.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you, Pandora. Thank you, Matt D, for letting us know. And continue.
Momentarily confused by the recognized artwork and font style, I thought there may have been some rare Jethro Tull song that somehow I missed. Instead, I learned that Pandora now does podcasts and is somehow smart enough to link us together. I've never been into lyrics, and thus the singing is just another instrument to me. So hearing your explanations and interpretations are quite informative and entertaining. My first introduction to Jethro Tull was by my 18-year-old brother, 7 years my senior. This is a common theme
Checks
again.
out. Yep, definitely.
Who came home with the newly released Thick as a Brick with the full newspaper. I listened to this album for a year or 2 with no exposure to any other Tull music. The next album my brother brought home was Benefit, followed by Stand Up, and then Songs from the Wood when it was first released. Once I started purchasing my own records, I purchased Heavy Horses and then saw them in concert, supporting that album. Uriah Heep was the warm-up.
Uriah Heep.
No idea. Sounds like a condition. I was completely hooked after seeing Tull in concert and purchased the rest of their albums to fill in the collection. This was Aqualung, Living the Past, A Passion Play, War Child, Minstrel, etc. Well, thank you very much, Matt. That is, again, so almost archetypical, the introduction to Jethro Tull being from an older sibling. So we really appreciate hearing your jump start.
Yeah, particularly from that era, being young enough to see those albums come out. Spot on. It definitely checks out.
Yeah. And then we have an email from Stacy S. Subject, a thank you and an introduction. Message, hello, Nick and Omen. My first encounter with Jethro Tull was in the spring of 1971. I was 12 and in the 7th grade. My older sister, a junior in high school, brought Aqualung home after hearing songs on the radio. I was hooked by the imagery of the lyrics and the sheer paradigm shift of the music. Wondering aloud, deep sigh, 50 years of listening pleasure. I discovered Talk Tull to me about 2 months ago during a break in the day of my remote teaching of high school biology.
Oof,
oh my gosh.
God bless.
Stacey.
Yeah.
Yes. Strength be with you. I've been binging and I'm just about caught up. Absolutely wonderful. Thanks, Stacy. Stacy, thank you for writing and thank you for teaching our youths in this incredibly difficult time for teachers.
Yeah. Thank you for what you do.
Yeah, amazing.
Greatly appreciated.
Nick, what else do we have?
I think we'll just wrap up with a couple more quotes from Ian from Minstrel.
Amazing.
And then we'll get into the song, because that is it for our appreciation for these sweet, sweet listeners. Thank you, everyone.
Yes.
Please, again, feel free. Let us know your jump starts. Let us know how much you appreciate the podcast, because we appreciate you. So some more Ian Minstrel quotes.
Yes.
In terms of the Jethro Tull canon, Aqualung has to sit right at the top of the tree, not only regarding quality of songs, but as being iconic to an audience the world over. Well, particularly back in the 70s. Then, if you were to divide all the work, including my solo stuff, in 3 blocks of A, great, B, okay, and C, perhaps not, then Minstrel in the Gallery would be in the second group, and probably near the top of it. but it might be somebody else's favorite.
Wow.
Ian is realistic sometimes. It's nice to see that he can recognize where things fall, although I don't think he's given himself enough credit for Minstrel. I think it should be maybe in the bottom of A.
I think that if unsentimentality was an Olympic sport, Ian Anderson would be the world gold medal champion of all competitions.
Scotland would take it home every 4 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would it be Winter or Summer Olympics, Omen?
Winter, because it'd be winter because it requires a cold heart.
Dark and depressing, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Another quote, I'd written much of the material beforehand, so many sessions didn't require the other's input, at least in the early stages. So they ended up with time on their hands, doing day trips into Switzerland or Italy. John, Evan, and Martin had cars and would visit ski resorts. They were the playboys of Monaco. It was okay, but Monte Carlo is a soulless, meaningless place. We were residents while we were there for tax purposes, but what had seemed like a good idea wasn't a great one. So while I wouldn't over-egg it, because it is still a band record, this one has a bit more of me being private, reflective, whimsical.
Nick, I want to do day trips to Switzerland and Italy.
On your off time from when you're recording one of your greatest albums? Yeah.
In Monte Carlo, yeah. I do want to do that.
Okay.
I want that.
Put that on
Can I have that
on
for
the
Christmas?
to-do list. I
Next
will.
year?
I'll see if I can. I'll do a crowdsource. We'll see if we can get that.
Okay,
for
that
you.
sounds great.
And finally, one last quote, this one in particular about the song Grace, the song we are about to discuss. That song was just paying homage to the world around. It was a musical afterthought, a postscript, just thanking whatever power or spirit for the blessings that have been bestowed upon you that day. Then it asks, may I buy you again tomorrow? Because in a way, you pay through the nose for that good luck. So it's just saying grace, although I tend to not have these thoughts about me when I sit down to gorge myself on king prawn vindaloo, a sag aloo, pilau rice, and a plate full of papadums. I'm not that spiritually minded all the time, but there are moments.
Well,
It's grace like saying grace before Thanksgiving,
yes.
or any meal, really. And of course, Ian's Indian food appreciation coming out there as well.
Yeah. Well, Nick, I think that is a fabulous dovetail, as it were, into talking about this week's song, which, as we've just heard from the flute master himself, Grace.
Let's listen.
Let's have a listen, Nick.
Hello, sun. Hello, bird.
Well, and that was Grace.
35 seconds, ladies and gentlemen.
And as you said, Nick, this is the final canonical song off of the album, or rather, it's the final song on the original release.
The
yes.
original vinyl, yeah.
What can we say about this song, Nick? Shall we talk musically?
Sure. Can we listen to it again, to be honest?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, I'm going to play it one more time.
So
it's what we've come to expect from acoustic Ian, really.
and from this album, it's a good representation of the aesthetic of this album.
Yeah, it's like 2 acoustic guitars, I think.
If that, it may
If
just
that,
be one.
might even be one. I couldn't quite figure. I only had 10 seconds to figure it out. And then the strings came in about halfway. Their standard sweep in.
Hello, my lady. Hello, bread.
And then we've got a single ting from the glockenspiel, like right at the end, about 30 seconds. And that's it.
Is it really just one note?
I'm pretty sure it was just a single hit. Let me see if I can find it.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, there it is.
That was actually the engineer accidentally dropped something on the glockenspiel as they walked by.
And Ian fired him and then took full credit for it.
That's right. And then we have the little violin at the end.
Very sweet, very soft, very lovely. It's not, aside from that violin, I would say there is little to no lagoob in this. It's very light. It's got a bright sound. It's got a warm sound.
Yes.
to it. But that violin has a little bit of kind of sadness, I feel.
Melancholy.
Melancholy. Thank you. That's a great word for it. Yeah.
Bittersweet. It's a bittersweet sorbet at the end of a lovely meal.
Yeah.
Sort of a pamplemousse sorbet, perhaps.
Pamplemousse. It's a lot like the content of this 30-second song. It's a good reminder. Sure, your morning could start out bright and lovely, but you gotta keep reality in mind, and stuff could go south. But that's a good way to appreciate what you've got and how you live, and the next day and the next day.
Well, Nick, I think that you may have just raced around the corner, much like an Italian sports car finishing the final lap of the Grand Prix, into the world of lyrics. So shall we downshift and then hit the gas?
Yeah, you do those things. I drive automatic.
So we have 5 lines.
5 lines.
Hello, sun. Hello, bird.
Sun being the star, not your sun.
Soleil.
Yeah.
Hello, bird. Hello.
My lady.
Hello, my lady. Hello, breakfast. May I buy you again tomorrow? Nick, I want to start at the end of this song and work backwards.
Bold decision, but I
Yes.
think we'll be able to do it.
Much like a French race car driving backwards through the Grand Prix.
Very bold decision.
So, may I buy you again tomorrow? Nick, you know what this reminds me of?
I don't.
As I'm sure you were just about to say, yes, Nick, it does remind me of the works of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman Empire and famous Stoic.
Classic.
Yeah.
Literal classic.
An actual classic, yes. So I've been dabbling in a little bit of Stoic philosophy recently, and the Stoics, one of their sort of primary tenets was to keep in your mind the fact that this could be your last day on earth. In Latin, they say, memento mori.
Yeah.
Remember that you will die. And, it's not meant to be depressive. It's meant to focus the mind and say, all right, well, I'm doing this today, whatever it may be. I'm going to work, but this might be the last time that I ever do it because I might die tomorrow. So how do I want to do it? If let's say I will die tomorrow, how do I want to do the thing that I'm doing right now?
Yeah.
And it applies itself to any kind of activity that you might be doing, whether it's human interaction, whether it's speaking with your friend, or whether it's doing your work, or whether it's enjoying a meal. So I think that, it's easy for us to say in modern life, but I think it's always been the case in human civilization that we live with half our minds in the future and half our minds in the past. And it's easy to sit down to breakfast and just kind of shovel it down our faces without really observing it.
It's living in the now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's being present. And so I think that this moment of observation and saying, hello, breakfast. Wow, first of all, hello, I see you. I'm here with you, breakfast.
Yeah.
And then the question, may I buy you again tomorrow? I don't know, because I might die. So this might be the last breakfast that you ever eat. So why don't we, as Ian was sort of saying in the quote, why don't we, really be present with it and observe it and be thankful for it in this moment? I think that's beautiful.
It is really beautiful. Yeah, it's a beautiful sentiment, and I think without dissecting a little bit, it could be construed as depressing or even confusing, really. But it's a nice way to really just acknowledge life. And I think what a perfect episode to be recording after Thanksgiving. What a perfect episode to have so much listener appreciation and our appreciation for the listeners as well. I think it fits perfectly.
Well, and now, Nick, it is the waning moments of 2020, and if this year has taught us anything,
Oh, Christ on a crutch, yeah.
it is that you really never know what's around the corner.
Appreciate those you are with, appreciate what
Absolutely.
you have. Yeah,
'Cause you just don't know what's coming down the pike.
that's right. It might be a pike.
It might be an actual pike.
A pike wielding a pike coming down the pike.
Wow.
Just pike on pike action.
Yeah. So what about the rest of the lines? Hello, sun. Hello.
Hello, bird. Hello, my lady. Hello, breakfast.
Yeah.
I see it as a progression. You open your eyes. Hello, sun. Is the first thing you see. Hello, sun.
Because you're sleeping outside and you
because
woke
you-
up at 10 a.m.
That's right. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not sure why, but I can appreciate that. So you wake up, you walk down the stairs, you look out the window, you see a bird. You come to the breakfast table, you see your wife drinking a cup of coffee. Then you sit down in front of the breakfast, you greet your breakfast, and then you say, I appreciate all these things. Can I do this again tomorrow?
Yeah.
Could I be so privileged as to have this experience again tomorrow, even though it may come across as banal or unexciting?
And, I think that you just shucked that final line for me, Nick, because I think there's a double meaning. It's can I, meaning,
May I?
is it possible?
Yeah.
Or is it possible that I won't have this experience again tomorrow?
Exactly.
Or is it, may I please do this again tomorrow?
Yeah.
Please, sir, may I have some more?
May I buy some breakfast tomorrow?
Oliver, never before has a boy wanted more. Oliver, he won't ask for more when he knows what's in store.
Well, I guess we're going to throw that song in there.
Oliver, never before has a boy wanted more. Oliver, won't ask for more when he knows what's in store.
I think we definitely ferreted that out, that it's not just, do I have the ability, but will I be given that opportunity? Yeah.
Sometimes, Nick, I do my commute on the subway, and it's easy in New York to get overwhelmed by the number of people
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to sort of go through your commute and your day hatefully and just sort of see every single person and be like, oh my God. Oh, gee. Oh,
Yeah.
God. Why is he wearing that? Why is she speaking so loudly on her phone? So sometimes I do a thing where every single person that I see, I try to see them as beautiful. I literally, I look at a person and I say to myself, how beautiful.
It's like Lady Grey, was that her name, in Baker Street Muse, where you said, see everyone like your mother, the Buddhist.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Try to see every single person as, in a way, as yourself,
Right.
as beloved by you.
You're right. It's very easy to dehumanize. It's very easy to kind of shut down, but ultimately we're all human.
Yeah. We all want the same thing.
And we all want the same thing or some variety of that, and being able to recognize that and acknowledge that. It doesn't mean you have to go up and hug someone, but
Certainly not these days.
not these days. But being able to try to understand where they're coming from and being forgiving and being stronger because that person could be having a worse day than you.
Right.
Really, 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 really helps things. I try to live like that, and it makes driving on the thruway easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It makes passing the homeless people in Syracuse a lot harder.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nick, what did you have for breakfast this morning?
I had a wheat bread toast with peanut butter, banana, and honey. One of my all-time favorites.
Did you greet your breakfast?
I did not.
Did you shovel it down your face without a second thought?
Kind of, yeah, because I was also making breakfast for Rook. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's easy. Just, I think it's a little more important to greet people and appreciate people than it is to greet your breakfast, but also take a step back every now and then.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's it. It's easier for me to step back and appreciate an amazing meal from Good Luck,
Sure.
but sometimes a toast breakfast sandwich it can be appreciated.
But you never know, and you never know when that bite could be your very last.
Your last bite. So make every breakfast the best breakfast.
Twice as big.
So there will be more bites to be the
More
last.
bites. I'm on a diet. It's called the I might die tomorrow diet. It's like in Groundhog Day when he goes through that phase of just eating everything and smoking cigarettes while he's doing it.
Living life to excess. Let's be clear. Don't live your life to self-destructively.
No.
Please. That's not I don't think that's the point of this song.
No, it's
but
to
yeah.
appreciate every moment and appreciate what you have and is in front of you and to be present and to be thankful, to appreciate that this universe is multifaceted and extraordinary, and it's fairly miraculous that you are able to do whatever it is that you're doing right now, even if what it is suffering. Wow, what an amazing privilege that you get to be alive and suffer in the unique way that you're doing right now. How exquisite.
Starting to get more depressing.
Stand by you again tomorrow.
Well, Nick,
Omen.
on that note, speaking of appreciating things,
Speaking of art pulling back into art appreciation, here we go.
exactly, we are about to unveil on this final episode of 2020 a brand new segment on Talk Tull to Me, a seismic shift in the structure of Talk Tull to Me. Yes, Nick, what do we have?
Well, you may have noticed, or maybe you haven't, but we haven't yet talked about the art that is the album cover of Minstrel in the Gallery.
Yeah.
We've at least mentioned them in previous albums. This album, we are starting a new segment that I like to call Sleeping with the Dogs in Midwinter. Because our photographer correspondent Jesse Winter has so graciously stepped up to do an art appreciation segment. And because his last name is Winter, I went Dogs in Midwinter. And because Sleeping with the Dogs ends with dogs and Dogs in Midwinter starts with dogs, I put them all together. Makes no sense. Tickles me. But here we go.
That was amazing. I think I just had a stroke. Let's hear the segment.
Good morning, Tull Skulls. This is Jesse Winter beaming in from Queens, New York, Long Island City at 1010 Studios. It is October 10th, 2020. It's a crazy coincidence. There's a lot of symbolism here. I am severely honored that Omen and Nick are letting me digress into the album cover art, design, layout, photography, etc., etc. What's exciting, even more so for me, being the first time I've ever done a podcast, is that when this album was released in 1975, I was not even an idea. Maybe I was an idea, but I may have been a sperm. And then I was conceived somewhere between the end of September, beginning of October, 1975, based on my birthday. I'm going to imagine my non-human self walking through a record store, spying this medieval-based Renaissance, Middle Ages style revelry, an original artwork that they copied. The basic print was by Joseph Nash, 1838, called The 12th Night Revels in the Great Hall, Hayden Hall, Derbyshire. To talk about this, visually, what they changed was the lineup of musicians up in the gallery above the revelry. So there's only 5 musicians here. In the original, there may have been 8 or 10 or something like this. But everything else is an exact replicate. There are crocodiles and amphibious mammals and cats and dogs and puppets and gestures, of course, and some sort of bear, like a Sasquatch almost. This could be like some kind of pre-sci-fi visual going on here. And it is a party. Everybody looks to be having a great time. There is no drinking and there's no smoking, but whatever these people are on, it's working. And it's an interesting piece. It fits for their series at that time, for their style. And it's also going to be completely art directed and produced by Ian Anderson himself, because he took over control after the Aqualung album, starting with Thick as a Brick, Passion Play, onward. It's all his ideas. If you take the album itself, reaching into it, at the record store. You're going to look at it, and I'm going to buy it. I'm not even going to know what it is. But turning it over, the back cover is upside down. So it's very possible that he wants you to flip it. Now, if you flip it, the cover is right. The back cover has all the details, the credits, track listings. It says produced by Ian Anderson, bold. And it is a fluteless image. There is not a flute in sight. I've looked at this with a magnifying glass, a loop. I cannot find a flute. But there are 5 musicians up in the gallery, literally, just like the cover. They're all looking very serious, very focused, a little dark. Not much detail down below in the shadows at all. I can see some instruments, a piano, some coffee cups, various boxes, some recording equipment, a dartboard, it's like some hand drums, and other stuff. Oh, this beautiful bass that the bassist at the time was using. This, to me, also, one other technical detail on the photograph, I don't know, actually, I did not look, but if tungsten film was not available, I don't know if they made a choice, but they shot this on a daylight balanced film because everything is so orange that it would have been rendering color temperature of daylight, which on photography will look kind of yellow if it's an indoor lighting. In the spirit of the troubadour, traveling troubadour, playing to audiences from a stage, I have this burning question in my mind of if they were recording in Monaco from a mobile studio, were they using this room, and did this room inform them or inspire the cover, or vice versa? Do you like the print and want to take a photograph that literally carried through to them as these minstrels in the gallery? And we will never know. This is a mysterious element to this album, but on the internet, it is chock full of questionings of whether the back cover upside down is a mistake or intentional. Again, these elusive mysteries will haunt Tull aficionados for future generations. With that, we have the insert. Ian Anderson in a sort of muted printed piece on the guitar. Again, there is a flute in the lower right-hand corner. They snuck a flute in the inside. Okay. Whew. Feel better. Looking serious. Dedicated. He's got a watch on. Another detail I love is he always wears a watch because he always keeps everything on time. Even in concerts, you can see him wearing a watch because he doesn't want to run too long. And on the band photo cover, we have John Evan, who's kind of smiling. Everybody else is pretty serious. Ian Anderson, of course, giving this kind of caught off guard look he was into. He's sort of surprised. That seemed to be his go-to kind of mood gesture. We have the lyrics all laid out. Fantastic lyrics, but I can't talk about those. I'll leave that for Nick and Omen to head down that rabbit hole within a beaver dam, within a chipmunk on a tree. And thus concludes my initial attempt at a podcast. I am so grateful to everyone who bared with me as I try to record this in my studio, in my carriage house, in my gallery, overlooking the thoroughfare below.
There it is.
There we have it. Thank you so much, Jesse, for being the dog in our Midwinter and for bringing us that fabulous analysis of the album art.
Yeah. I highly recommend everyone take a look at the art. Go online, see if you can find it somewhere, and watch while he's look at it while he's talking about it.
Follow along in your hymnals at home.
That's right. On page 1 of Minstrel in the gallery.
Also, If you appreciate the art on the Jethro Tull albums, go out and find some other art. There's some fabulous stuff out there. Biomimicism, futurism, Dadaism, Impressionism.
And more.
And
So that is it for the album proper. We've got 2 more weeks of bonus tracks.
yeah.
Next week, we're going to talk Summer Day Sands with y'all.
Oh.
Yeah, some lovely ones. Yeah.
Ah.
And then we'll
I
one
love
more
that song.
after that. I didn't realize you loved it so much, Omen.
Love it.
So that will take us into the new year, 2021. 2021 next week.
Nick,
Omen.
tell me, what are your resolutions for 2021?
To get through 1, 2, 3, 4 more albums, 4 more albums. That's it. Oh man. It's only like 4 more albums for all of 2021.
Which albums?
So we've got the tail end of Minstrel.
Yep.
And we're going to go into Too Old to Rock and Roll.
Oh boy.
Then we're going to go into Songs from the Wood. Then Heavy Horses.
Oh my God.
Then we're going to take a little divergence and get a couple of tracks off of an album called Songs from the North,
Ooh.
which was a bit of a compilation, some other stuff that wasn't released anywhere. We've got some songs that. And then we're going to wrap up the year with half of Stormwatch
Oh my gosh.
and a couple more Christmas songs off of the Christmas album.
So it's a really exciting year shaping up. 2021 is going to cover, Nick, some of my genuinely my absolute favorite albums of all
Agreed.
of all time.
Yeah, mine too. Those country folk ones are just so good. That trio.
They live in the deep, verdant forests of my heart.
That's right.
Well-
As does a little troll that we see very rarely.
Called Nick McGill. And if you have, wait a minute, I lost it.
If you would like to grace us with your opinions
There it is.
on Apple Podcasts, we would greatly appreciate a 5-star review so you can grace others with our presence and our talking Tull into their ears.
As the great emperor philosopher Marcus Aurelius would have said, rate Talk Tull to me today, because tomorrow you could die.
I think that was probably his most famous quote, right?
Did that sound threatening?
A little bit, actually. A little bit. And it was Marcus Aurelius, so there may have been a sword at hand at all times.
You may have done, yeah.
Yeah.
Until next year, I am ever faithfully Omen Said.
I am eternally Nick McGill.
We are inadvertently Factless Momes.
And this indefinitely is Talk Tull to me.
Welcome to the Van de Straat Art Museum. Thank you for taking this personal once-a-day tour of the great Scots masters. So here we have an exquisite example of brutalist cubalist pointillism. You see here how the harsh yellows contrast with the form, presenting the viewer with an exquisite, mind-shattering postmodernist reverie.
Do you have any Banksy?
Is
that Banksy?
Hush,
Yeah, Karen, I think
hush.
that's Banksy.
Hush, please, you dirty American pigs. If you move over here, we have an exquisite sculpture by the late Italian post-retrofuturist Marzelli Martarischi, who, as you see here, is using biomimicry to incite the heart's deepest desires, by which I mean the literal heart of a 14-month-old beluga whale which washed up on the shores of Sicily.
That's Italian? Is that Italian, Henry? Karen, that's made of spaghetti.
dear sweet Jesus, why did we open the museum today? Over here, you will see an absolutely devastating example of Scots Impressionism. This piece, which uses the melted debris from a flute factory fire in 1771, is provocatively entitled Talk Tull to Me is a proud member of the Feckless Momes audio network.
Oh, I don't like that one. That makes me have feelings.